Is it rolling, Bob? Is it rolling, Bob?
Is it rolling, Bob?
Hello, everybody out there, wherever you are on this planet. This is Chris Gregory again. This is Bob Dylan, A Head Full of Ideas, Season 4. And I think we're on to episode 6 now. This is the second part of Love Songs from Desire. And it continues like this. A couple of the songs they wrote were purely light-hearted efforts. RITA May, which did not make the album but appeared on a B-side, is a raucous exercise in rhythm and blues based on the 1957 rockabilly raver Bertha Lou, recorded by Johnny Fair and Dorsey Burnett. Dylan slows down the tune a little so that it resembles the work of Jerry Lee Lewis. Jerry Lee himself recorded a steaming take of the song. On the recording that appears on disc 1 of the Rolling Thunder live bootleg series set from the SIR Studios rehearsals in 1975, Dylan and his band, with Ronnie Blakely on prominent backing vocals, really attacked the song, with Blakely adding a tongue-in-cheek verse about a boy with dreamy eyes. The song was only performed once in concert at the Warehouse in New Orleans on the 3rd of May 1976, with bassist Rob Stoner supplying backing vocals. The basic joke behind the song is that the singer claims that rather than admiring her physical attributes, he is interested only in her mind. This is, of course, a reversal of the usual approach of highly sexualized post-Elvis rockabilly material. Tells her that you got your body in the way. The song relies on its cleverly humorous rhyming for much of its effect, especially when Dylan sings, "You're so damn nonchalant, it's your mind that I want." And later, "I don't have to go to college because you are the book of knowledge." He also claims that "you got me huffing and a puffing, next to you I feel like nothing," and "you got me burning and I'm turning, but I know I must be learning." Throughout the song, the singer maintains that it is the girl's intellect that attracts him. But this may well just be a ruse he is using to make a physical connection with her, a comically exaggerated chat-up line he's using to try and attract this intellectual and presumably feminist female. This is made more obvious in the bridge section when the singer po-facedly tells us that "all my friends keep telling me that if I hang around with you, I'll go blind." This refers to the old wives' tale that masturbation causes blindness, suggesting that he really is sexually obsessed with her, or perhaps he's never really met her but admires, so to speak, her photos from afar. Rita May is an amusing parody of contemporary sexual mores, while the more straightforward Mozambique, which provides some light relief on the album, is a whimsical pastiche of Hollywood musical songs of the 1940s and 50s. It has a light Latin feel reminiscent of performers like Carmen Miranda, especially in her song "Chicka Chicka Boom Chick." I'm sure you can find that on YouTube somewhere. Anyway, she wore a lot of fruit on her head, did Carmen. The name Mozambique appears to have been picked at random, more for its sound than anything else. It has been rumoured that Dylan and Levy chose the name as part of an exercise in seeing how many rhymes they could follow eek with. Here we get cheek, unique, weak, and peak. How many can you think of? Answers on a postcard. Yes. It is arguable that the choice of the name was unfortunate, as the real country of Mozambique in Africa had spent most of the previous decade engaged in a bitter and bloody war of liberation against its colonial oppressors, the Portuguese. Some listeners, desperate perhaps for Dylan to return to political songwriting, interpreted the song as a sarcastic comment on this war and perhaps the state of the world in general, but this is really largely wishful thinking. In fact, the song is a light confection, which was played on most of the gigs in the second Rolling Thunder tour of 1976, where it provides the band and the audience with some fun and relief from the wordier, more serious material. The song is deliberately written in slightly ungrammatical English, as if it's being sung by a performer whose first language is Spanish or Portuguese, beginning, "I like to spend some time in Mozambique." Later we get "plenty time for good romance." Mozambique itself is portrayed as a kind of Hollywood paradise where the sunny sky is aqua blue and where all the couples are dancing cheek to cheek. a reference to the song Cheek to Cheek from the Astaire Rogers vehicle Top Hat from 1935. In this fantasy land, these lovely people appear to live permanently on a beach. At times, the narrator sounds like he is trying to sell us a holiday. We get cheesy remarks like, "It's very nice to stay a week or two," or "There's lots of pretty girls in Mozambique." It is strongly hinted that we may well find love there, whispering a secret emotion, magic in a magical land. Cheesy or what? Anyway, we are told that on this glorious vocation we'll be amongst the lovely people living free. It is, of course, all ridiculously corny, but the melody is strong and the execution of the performances is generally immaculate, with Scarlett Rivera's violin again dominating the sound. The studio version is made more atmospheric by the addition of trumpets, mandolin and bouzouki. The tragic love song, Romance in Durango, also contains strong elements of pastiche. It is almost as if Dylan and Levy have tried to cram in as many stereotypical references to Mexico as possible. We get scenes in a cantina, a fiesta, the desert, and a corrida, and references to the fandango, tequila, our padre, golden earrings, ancient Aztec ruins, and the Mexican Revolution, just in case we hadn't figured out where the song was taking place, I suppose. This isn't so much a song about Mexico, though, as a song about a movie set in Mexico, possibly a spaghetti western with an ambivalent anti-hero. Clint Eastwood would be a shoo-in for the part of the nameless narrator, a man with no name. The elements of gunfighting, outlaws, lovers on the run with lawmen on their trail are also reminiscent of aspects of the revisionist western Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. Yet this is no light-hearted ditty like Mozambique. The song's stirring melody, its resonant imagery, its pacing and dramatic flourishes, and its narrative economy all contribute to the creation of a genuinely tragic and moving story, even if those elements are dictated by cinematic conventions. It was part of the standard set list in the first Rolling Thunder tour, although it was played less often in 1976. Since then, unfortunately, it's been played only once to a surprised but delighted, highly delighted audience, I would say, at the Hammersmith Odeon in London in 2003. I was there myself, and everybody was extremely happy to hear this song. The live versions tend to be slightly faster and harder edged than the studio recording. Hot chili peppers in the blistering sun, dust on my face, on my cape, is one of Dylan's most resonant opening lines, setting the tone of the song with its elements of hot passion perfectly. By relating the story in the present tense, Dylan gives great immediacy to the narrative. Up until the tragic ending, the narrator sounds optimistic, although we may soon suspect that this feeling is misplaced. He addresses the song to his lover, Magdalena, with whom he is trying to escape from the forces of law and order, continually trying to reassure her that they will escape. He confesses that he has sold my guitar to the baker's son, but promises to buy another one so he can play for her when they reach freedom. The song has a rousing chorus, some of which is in Spanish. No ilores, mi querida, Dios nos vigila, which means, don't cry, my dear God is watching over us. Soon the horse will take us to Durango. Agarrami, mi vida. That's probably an Italian accent, but I am trying. Come on. Hold me, my love, my life. Soon the desert will be gone. Soon you will be dancing the fandango. I'm glad to say back in English now. Durango is the area of Mexico where Pat Garrett was filmed. The narrator seems to believe that he and Magdalena will be free when they get there. That's what they think. As the journey continues, past the Aztec ruins and the ghost of our people, the narrator begins to reflect on why he is wanted by the authorities. The questions he asks, was it me that shot him down in the cantina? Was it my hand that held the gun? Are compelling because they take us into his inner thoughts, which have just been focused on the bloody face of Ramon. That's the murder victim. The narrator's questions seem to cast doubt on his involvement, but he's merely trying to justify himself in front of his girl. He then goes into a reverie in which he imagines their life in Durango, sitting in the shade, enjoying a bullfight and drinking tequila in the location where their grandfathers rested before taking part in the Battle of Torreon during the Mexican Revolution. Well, that's what you do in Mexico, isn't it? You have those kind of thoughts, I guess. He also imagines their future marriage at which the padre will recite the prayers of old. He pictures Magdalena with diamonds in her wedding gown and himself dressed up smartly with new boots and an earring of gold. At the climax of this fantasy, he has a divine vision. The face of God will appear with his serpent eyes of obsidian. What a wonderful image that is. The luminous image of God appears to correspond to that of Aztec deities, such as Quetzalcoatl, the serpent god, and Tezcatlipoca, the god of obsidian, which is the material from which the Aztecs made mirrors. In the final verse, however, the reality of the situation hits home. Was that the thunder that I heard? The narrator asks himself. Then he tells us that my head is vibrating. I feel a sharp pain. Despite his previous boasts and fantasies, we know by now that he has been hit. He spells this out to us like a character in an old-fashioned melodrama, asking another rhetorical question, oh, can it be that I am slain? He hands the gun to Magdalena, and then in a beautifully compressed final flourish, he tells her to look up in the hills, that flash of light. Aim well, my little one. We may not make it through the night. The image of the flash of light in the hills is particularly cinematic. It is obvious that he, and very probably Magdalena as well, I'm afraid, are now doomed. What remains with us, however, is not their deaths, which will occur off-screen, but the narrator's fanciful visions of their future life. But the God which appears to rule their lives seems to be a harsh and fearful being. Romance in Durango can be also linked to another film genre, that of lovers on the run, as in the 1967 film Bonnie and Clyde, 1973's Badlands, and Sugarland Express from 1974, I think. In such films, the couples fleeing from the law are usually played by especially attractive actors, of course, as in Hollywood, everyone's good looking, aren't they? Their relationships are highly romanticized, and they frequently appear to take on the mantles of rebels against society. The genre turns them, therefore, into heroes. The narrator of Durango wins us over with his extreme romanticism, but surely we suspect from the outset that he and his lover are doomed. The song is thus a highly successful genre piece, but reading deeper meanings into it, as some commentators have done, is a more dubious exercise. The story itself is a simple one, distinguished by the narrator's self-serving and dramatic rhetoric. Dylan projects himself into the role of the protagonist with great verve and imagination. But he does not attempt to use the song to comment on social, personal, or religious matters. The same cannot be said for Oh Sister, which is the only Dylan Levy song lacking in strong cinematic or theatrical elements. In fact, it's a sad, wistful song delivered at a sonorous pace with a number of extended vocal effects. The interplay between violin and harmonica is especially effective here in tugging the heartstrings. There are only 3 short verses and a bridge, but the song usually lasts for at least 4 minutes. On Desire, Emmylou Harris's contribution is mixed up so high that the track is virtually a duet. Having both male and female voices together adds an interesting dynamic, given the fact that the song is a direct address to a woman, or perhaps to women in general. The use of the word sister seems to be a nod to feminists. Dylan appears to be lamenting the tragic misunderstandings between men and women that can occur with regard to sexual politics. At the same time, the song is also apparently directed at an individual woman with whom the narrator has had a relationship. He delivers various warnings and admonitions to her, but these are almost certainly futile. The language of the song is fairly simple and lacking in strong concrete images. Dylan plays with religious and social concepts in a rather disarming way. The opening, "Oh sister, when I come to lie in your arms, you should not treat me like a stranger," strongly suggests a sexual connection. We can presume that the woman is not the narrator's actual sister, but that he is addressing her in this way as a term of respect. The family analogy is continued with, "Our father would not like the way that you act." There is a strong implication that he is referring to a heavenly father here. He appears to be implying that men and women are brothers and sisters under God. But his tongue is his tone is oddly didactic, even dictatorial. The first verse ends with a warning to the woman that you must realise the danger. In this case, the danger appears to be that she will reject him. This is rather contradictory, given the respectful way he addresses her. It is as if he is invoking some kind of divine judgment to persuade her to stay with him. As the song develops, the narrator's pleas become more insistent. The tone he adopts is slightly archaic as he attempts to persuade her that he is worthy. "Oh sister, am I not a brother to you, and one deserving of affection?" This is really a rather weak and arguably pathetic attempt to win her affection, however. He appears to be trying to win her over by lecturing or possibly hectoring her about his supposed right to her love. Oh dear. He continues with the same rhetorical device. "And is our purpose not the same old desert, to love and follow his direction?" The use of the archaism desert to indicate fate in a rather negative way, as in the phrase just deserts, is particularly striking here. The short bridge section is perhaps the most puzzling in the song, beginning with the slightly odd expression, "We grew up together from the cradle to the grave," which again positions the woman as his sister. He then suggests that they have been through some kind of religious experience together. "We died and we were reborn, and yet mysteriously saved." Finally, he implores her not to turn away when he calls on her. In his final desperate plea, the highly evocative, if somewhat abstract, "Time is an ocean, but it ends at the shore. You may not see me tomorrow." He may be trying to appeal to her by pointing out how short life is, but he may also be delivering an implied threat to walk away from her if she doesn't respond in time. We can be pretty certain, however, that all his efforts will be in vain. In the post-Blood on the Track songs that centre around love, romance and commitment, Dylan tries a range of different approaches to matters that, for him, are clearly unresolved. As ever, he uses various personas, historical settings and dramatic devices to approach an area that he once dealt with in such a self-assured way, but which now seems to have morphed into many different dimensions. Delightful, nostalgic, comical, sad, and often dark confusion. Over the next few years, this uncertainty and insecurity will lead him towards adopting the safety blanket, as you might call it, of a born-again religious experience in the midst of perhaps the most turbulent phase of his creative life. Yes, getting a little bit controversial towards the end there, I suppose. Anyway, that's it for today. I do hope you've enjoyed that. I'll be back again next time with something different. I think we'll be looking at next time. Yes, Woody Guthrie. So if you're interested in that, tune in next time to A Head Full of Ideas, Season 4. And that will be number 7, I think. See you then. Bye-bye.
Is it rolling, Bob? Is it rolling, Bob?
Is it rolling, Bob?